call on Nitin Mathai, who's a lawyer and an activist in Bangalore, to take over the floor and give his point of view, focusing on the defense. What do you do when the notice arrives at your door? Take over, Nitin. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. As far as this particular FCRA is concerned, I am to understand that the entire purpose of which this new bill is being brought in is to make sure that most of the organization that exists currently has to be reduced. And the narration that the government will always take is in terms of national interest and national security related point would be an argument that will always be put across, which would be very difficult from a contesting point in the courts for us to argue. But in terms of the purpose in which this law has been brought in and how they intend to make sure that most of the organizations are it's going to be difficult for the organization to comply by it, is by bringing in a lot of procedural aspects. Mr. Sunil had in fact gone through the entire aspects. He was able to highlight most of the parts in terms of the administrative parts that we need to comply by. Now, one of the points that was stated was in terms of expenditures that is supposed to be recorded and the bandwidth that is given, that is up to 20%. Now, in terms of administrative expenses, also there is another 20% bandwidth, and I hope so. If I'm not wrong, in the event there are additional expenses that is coming in beyond the prescribed limit, I think there is a scope for us to take a permission from the government or report it to the government, and there is a coordination with the government and the organization in terms of additional expenses that could incur. So that particular aspect has been, I believe that aspect has been given in order to showcase, and the law has also been built around the point wherein anything that is being prescribed by law stating that this is the cutoff, there are all chances that we can go beyond the cutoff. Only thing is that there has to be a compliance in terms of that. The easiest way to comply or easiest way to bypass, in fact, this is what I would say, that the easiest way to bypass any prescribed law is to send a representation to the government before they send us a notice saying that you have bypassed, stating that for so and so reasons, we would like to, this is required and we would be going ahead and bypassing this part. We could always send a representation to them, and when a notice comes to us on a later date, we have got something to state and to contest. Any law for that matter, if there is a law that is coming in now, take for example the bill. The bill is in sort of with respect to the bill, there is a point that is stated in terms of the compliances. So I think this is one point that I would like to state, that most of the organizations, I believe some of you must have complied and some of them may not have been complied. In the event it could not have been complied, then definitely there is going to be an action that is initiated by the government. Before such an action is initiated by the government, I think it would be wise for us to state to the government, for XYZ reason this could not have been complied by, and we are going ahead and complying it, or we would want to comply, make space for us to comply, or arrange a portal for us to comply, or something to that effect. We are to write a representation to that effect. We go to the court and we ask that necessary procedures have to be set up for us, or a portal has to be set up for us to do the compliances. We could not have complied for whatsoever reason. Court will definitely ask the government to go ahead and make necessary arrangements to do it, because it is as far as litigation is concerned, insofar as any matter, it is the actions that we take before they take action against us that would be the ones that would come in defense for us. So most of us, in terms of what Sir John sir had stated and Mr. Sunil also has stated, that the procedural aspects are the ones that is going to become a hindrance to us at all point, and that is what this new bill is all about. When we violate the procedural aspects, if the government at any point of time comes and states that national interest is a matter of question, then we are in a very difficult position. Other than that, all these procedural aspects which has been put across to us, stating that you have not complied by, you have violated it, and the ones we think that in the coming days could become a problem to us. I mean, most of us would already know the things that we have not complied by, right? So we can have an anticipation, or we can understand that these are the things that will come against us. So if at any point of time we feel that there are certain things that would come against us, I believe that it is the best point that we go ahead and issue a representation to them saying that these things could not have been done and permit us to do it. With that, one problem is solved. In terms of things that is already prescribed and we are going above that, before they initiate against us, we can always put a representation saying that for these bona fide reasons we had to do it. Kindly provide us a way to rectify the situation. which the courts will always side by us under these circumstances. So in simple terms, after all the things that I've heard, I don't find anything much more there to put across. If there is any questions in regarding to anything in specific, I think I'll be more than happy to answer it.
Thank you, Nitin. That was very useful once again. And now, yes, for all the three panelists, I have a question. You can take your turns and answer it and say it in 1 or 2 minutes. And that is, what is your recommendation in short? And along with that, do you see a silver lining, if at all, anything in this whole bill? I hand over to John Dayal sir to first take a shot at this question.
No, what Sunil said gets me very worried. He mentioned that issues of conversion can figure in the FCRA. Now we have a couple of hundred people in Uttar Pradesh in jail at any given time on allegations of conversion. All of them have been proved to be false. Most of them get bail, and many of them the case is quashed. But for the duration that they have faced the charge and they are in jail, will it impact the FCRAs? And because the anti-conversion laws are now in 12 states and 2 more on the anvil. So shortly we'll have 14 states with anti-conversion law and every state with the FCRA issue. Life for the evangelical church and for other evangelicals of other religions is going to be pretty tough. So how do we see the two of these things put together and acting on people at large?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sunil, can you give your thoughts on it?
Yes. See, there is a lot of vagueness in that where this is concerned. One reason for cancellation is if you have been prosecuted for any of these offenses. It does not talk about conviction at all. So under the new amendment, the moment there's a case filed against you, literally you can say, okay, you're guilty of something. Secondly, the word is also used any member of the organization. It doesn't just talk about only a governing body member is convicted. So what is a member? So member is a very wide term. So that word member also is not clearly defined as far as I can see in the Act or any of the rules formed under. So it would depend, I think, to cancel FCRA on the discretion of how the government looks at it. So, and this is all in the old Act, not in the new amendment, but in the new amendment, other than just getting the guy arrested and possibly seizing the funds, it is also your assets that are being seized. And there also got a question now, it also says if it's a religious place of worship, the government can still take it and hand it over to some other person, but not change the nature of that place of worship. Now, the Constitution itself says each of us are permitted to follow our own religious practices, faith. So how, maybe question to Nitin, how would that be sorted out if the government intends to really take it against the Constitution, number one? Secondly, now there are people languishing in jail. They'll be finally let out because no case of forcible conviction has been, settled in India till today. It has all been proved that the allegations are false. So therefore, under the amendments, I do not see any silver lining like Peter Morris said. So more than that, I think we need to actually do our best to ensure that this act does not come through.
Thank you, Sunil, once again. Nitin, your take on this?
In terms of the designated authority that is now set up, in the event FCRA license is cancelled, surrendered, or whatsoever happens in terms of that, all the assets used, the funds that is utilized by us and all the assets that is built, it gets taken over by the government. I think in terms of a silver lining, if you are to ask, I think the only thing I could state is that there is a designated authority now, and going forward, if the licenses are in the event, they state that most of the time, this is something that I've come across, most of the time the government does not give a specified reason. It is mostly without a detailed reasoning as to why the licenses have been cancelled or as to why it has been revoked. Most of the orders are passed in terms of FCRA by the government is that. And it is a settled proposition of law that when a particular license is revoked or when a particular order is passed, it has to be reasoned. In the event it is not reasoned, it is liable to be challenged. As far as such an order is passed and assets are taken over by the designated authority which is going to come forward, we have a specific point of contesting and we have a specific authority to which we can contest, and we know that once things are in place, we can always claim the assets back. I think in consideration of the previous law, there was no, I mean, since it's like this, how do I put it? Like how Mr. Sunil said, there is no silver lining, but out of the things that we could probably, if we are to consider as a silver lining, then probably that the fact that there would be an authority now, and in the event anything is, any asset is taken over by the government, at least we have one point where we could go ahead and seek the details, and it would be a single point where the assets are also stored, and from there only we can take it back. Whoever takes, we know now, rather than running from pillar to post in terms of the government. I mean, that's something that I could state out of all the things. Basically, there is no silver lining, but out of what is available, I think we could just look at this as one.
Can I ask a question to Nitin, really? If there is no silver lining, then would we not be right and correct in attributing malefides to the government's intention in bringing forward this amendment?
Very much, sir. Very much. This, sir, if I could just point out one of the, I think this happened in Kerala. I think when Mr. Narendra Modi was there in Kerala, during one of the speeches, he said that we would not make anything as against, we would not go anything as against the community, or in terms of that, we do not have any intentions of that, is what was stated in one of the speeches that he gave. I think soon after that, there is this bill that is coming out. So if we look at it from that angle, that it is always the very purpose is malefides. Most funds definitely are coming to the community, and how we utilize that is what is strengthening us as well. To some extent, it is strengthening us as well. Now, if you take away all the things that could strengthen us, starting from the funds, I think yes, the intention is that it will not permit us to grow, it will not permit us to strengthen ourselves. This very bill is brought to that effect. If you look at it from a previous time to that of this, how FCRA has actually helped the community in this country, it has helped in many ways, from organizations to institutions to all the things that we have been able to do. Funds is the primary thing, and funds is coming to us. With this bill coming into place, all of that is going to be blocked. So malefides, there is no doubt, sir. But since the question was in terms of any silver lining, I thought, probably if, of all the things that is available, I think we could look at it from that angle.
Thank you, Nitin. Does that clarify, sir, your question?
Well, yes, it confirms my apprehensions.